Okay, welcome back. Good afternoon. We're starting our afternoon session for the City of Toronto, Etobicoke, York Panel Committee of Adjustment. So in accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Stan Kumorik. I will be your chair this afternoon. I would also like to introduce my fellow panel members. To my right is Bill Dalton and Laura Alderson. To my left is Dominic Gully and Natalia Popovic. Barbara Bortozik, who's sitting at the end of the podium here, is the Deputy Secretary Treasurer for Etobicoke, York, and Barbara's staff are in front of us. Okay, let's get started. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permissions to extend or alter lawful nonconforming uses, and consent to sever properties to create new lots. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Our hearing procedure this afternoon, the Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid and in-person virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person. Others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, and telephone, and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. Receiving a copy of the decision of the committee. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, as the Committee of Adjustment and Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons, and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Our hearing procedure this afternoon, I will call each item in the order listed in the agenda. When making your submissions, where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for decision. Each speaker, including the applicant and/or agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. Someone will comment when you are reaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other material you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the meeting. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address at the onset. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if there are substantial revisions to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Individuals either in support or opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers here in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentations. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has the opportunity to rebut those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Before moving forward with the morning session, do any members of the panel or staff have conflicts or matters of interest on any of the items on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move forward. So before we get to the top of the agenda, we'd like to get into deferrals that have been requested. And my understanding is that only one item has been requested to be deferred, and that's number 20. So if we could have the agent address. Before I do that, actually, Madam Secretary Treasurer, it is just the one item, correct? Perfect, okay. So the agent is online, I believe.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Chairs, members of the committee. My name is Sia Zanjani,
Good
and
afternoon.
I'm the architect and the applicant for this application. So we are requesting deferral. We've received comments from planning staff. We've been working with them with regards to one of the three minor variances, which is related to the FSI. So we will be revising the drawings to make substantial improvements as recommended by staff. As a result, we need more time to revise the drawings, have further discussions with staff, go through zoning review process again, and then come back to committee of adjustment, hopefully very soon.
Thank you. And there's no one here to speak on this item, I'm assuming, and no one online, so panel members? If no questions, could someone do a motion, please?
I'll move a motion to defer.
Thank you.
I will second.
All in favor? Okay, your item was deferred. Thank you, sir. Okay, item 19 would have been the original item, the first item on the afternoon agenda. That item is a delegated item, so it will not be heard today. So we are then moving to item 22, which is 54A.
21.
21, 80
Oh,
Ravens.
missed one, sorry. Item 21, 30 Rivercrest Drive. And this is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. A previous Committee of Adjustment application approved variances related to front yard setback, soffit height, and stairs. There are two variances, and there is an explanation in the added materials as to why the FSI is essentially a technical variance. TRCA has advisory comments. There is an arborist report, and Ravine and Natural Forestry has no conditions at this time. And the applicant is Marian Zabzuni.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair and committee members. Marin Zabzuni at 1140 the Queensway.
Good afternoon. Having a hard time hearing you. It's a little faint.
My apologies. Is this better?
Much better. Thank you.
Perfect. So if you'd like, I can give you the overview of the situation of what happened essentially. After the last approval from Committee of Adjustment, we continued forward. We obtained TRCA permit and all the clearances required. We applied for building permit, and upon building permit being issued, we actually received a zoning notice with this variance essentially related to FSI. So unfortunately, the previous zoning examiner, who's no longer, I believe, with the city, missed this technical variance because previously they counted the lot area as per the actual property, which means we complied with FSI. What they missed is that they need to reduce the calculation of the lot area based on the stable top of bank, where that's taken from. Because of this, which is common in this street and neighborhood, we have a technical variance, which unfortunately we received during the permit review process. We have not changed the design at all. We have not revised anything. The house is still the same as per previous approval. And TRCA, if you see their comments, they're aware of this and have no concerns or conditions as we already received a TRCA permit. So this is the only reason we're back here today and to go through this process, which has delayed the homeowners, is because of the missed variance. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? Nope. I think we're good. Anyone ready for a motion?
I'll move a motion to approve, as I think it meets the 4 tests.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
And I don't believe, no, there's no conditions.
No. Seconder?
Second that motion.
Thank you, Laura. All in favor? Okay, approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Zabzuni. Okay, now we can get to the one I thought I was getting to. So item 22, 54A Cannon Road. This is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage, a front porch, and a rear yard deck. There were originally 7 variances. One has been since removed, so there are now 6, or eliminated. There's now 6 variances being sought. Forestry is asking for conditions of approval 1 and 2 in the event that we approve. An arborist report has been provided. Planning is asking for 2 conditions of approval in the event that we approve. There is an objection letter from number 63, and there may be one other one, but I couldn't find an address for it, so we'll deal with that later. And that's all we have. This is, and the applicant is Amber Stewart.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I decided to come in person today. Nice to see everyone.
Good afternoon. I used to just hearing you.
It's my first time at an in-person committee meeting since forever. So anyways, it's Amber Stewart, and yes, I am the lawyer for the owner, which is a numbered company. I'm sure you have the number there. My address for the record, sir, is 70 Plunkett Road, Unit 6, Toronto, M9L2J5. And yes, so I'll jump into a presentation if that's acceptable to you, sir.
Please.
Okay, thank you. So yes, as you've noted, and I'll just start off with the transportation part of the discussion. My clients did meet and speak with planning staff through their designer, and they made some revisions to the site plan to eliminate a walkway that projected over the property and also to add the electric vehicle charger station, which was a request from planning and transportation. So that has resulted in the withdrawal of variance number 7, as you've already indicated. So what we are left with, sir, is 6 variances, three of which are side yard setback related, the other 3 being lot coverage, floor space index, and dwelling length. I will start off by saying that this is an existing lot, so it's an undersized lot relative to the base zoning, but it is a legal permitted lot because it is an original vacant lot under the original plan of subdivision. So it's substandard relative to the zoning. It's a 6.05 meter lot, which relates to some of the variances being requested, because of course it would be difficult, if not totally impossible, to build a compliant house with compliant side yard setbacks on this lot. With respect to the lot coverage, what is permitted is 33%, proposed is 34%. It's a very minor increase. And it is totally consistent with the variances that have been approved in this neighborhood. I did provide a chart today. I'm sure you would not have seen that yet, but I've summarized it. And lot coverage variances range to well over 40%. There's lot coverage variances in this immediate area that go up to 45% of the lot area. So this is a very minor increase, which is standard for this area. With respect to the floor space index, it is an increase from 0.5 times, which is permitted, to 0.57 times, which is proposed. And again, I will indicate to you that it doesn't come at the expense of a front yard or a rear yard setback variance. It is also, again, well within the range of what has been approved within the last 10 to 15 years in this neighborhood. And those floor space index variances range up to, there's a couple of anomalies that range over 1.05 times the lot area, but there are many that are within the 0.6 to 0.7 times the lot area range. So in terms of 0.57 times, that is, again, a modest variance in the order of magnitude for this area. With respect to side yard setbacks, I did provide a presentation, and I think it is, if I could ask you to turn to the last page of the presentation, which has some photographs in it. I think those photographs really do illustrate the pattern, which is typical for both original development and replacement development in this area, where side yards that are far less than the 1.2 meters that is required by the zoning bylaw are common. And you will see a pattern even on much wider lots where there is a wider side yard setback on one side of the house and a narrower side yard setback on the other side of the house. And that is a pattern that is evident or visible in terms of both original houses that were built with the original plan of subdivision or the earlier waves of development, and with replacement houses. So just a couple of examples on, if you could turn to the second page, or the last page, the one that's after this one. Yeah, that's right. So just a couple of examples. For example, photo 1471 Guthrie, that's got side yard setback approved variances for a new house of 0.82 meters and 0.21 meters. The next photo has a side yard of 0.76 meters. And the third photo, 39 Guthrie, which is number 16, has approved variances of 0.14 meters and 0.4 meters. So I would say that this pattern is something that we see evident on both wider lots and on narrower lots, which is obviously where this lot would fall in terms of the range of existing lots. With respect to the dwelling length, the dwelling length variance, frankly, I'm not totally clear on why that arises, because the above grade dwelling length is only 16.66 meters. So the variance relates to an excavated storage room, which is under the front porch. And of course, that has no effect above grade, and the front porch would be concrete and excavated in any event. It's simply that there is habitable space underneath. But again, the above grade length is less than what is permitted in the bylaw. And then beyond that, I would respectfully submit to you that the other built form variances are indicative of the fact that even though this lot is smaller than what typically exists and what is the minimum base requirement in this area, the dwelling that is proposed is quite modest and proportionate to the lot that exists. For example, the rear yard setback at over 20 meters is well in excess of what is required.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you to wrap up if you can.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just say that the other built form variances are either compliant or in fact less than what the zoning would require. So in our view, this dwelling is respectful and meets all of the 4 tests for minor variance. So
Thank you.
Subject to any questions, I'll end it there. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Yeah, please don't go away.
I won't.
I have a first question. And given that this is a new build, I'm just wondering why you didn't split the difference on the side yard setbacks and why you're going quite deficient on one side versus the other.
Well, I understand the question and the reason that it's been asked. And what I would suggest to you, sir, is that this is quite indicative of the pattern that exists in this area. So for example, there's two other similar new builds on nearby lots at 50.
Would those other ones have been post-severance?
They're not severances, sir.
not?
None of these houses have
Okay.
required severances. So they're all legally existing lots that exist and were vacant. Just simply, I don't want to call them remnant lots because there's obviously more than one of them. There's several of them in this area, but they're vacant lots that did not require severance.
Okay, still curious, why not split the difference?
Yeah, so what I would say, sir, is that allowing the 0.3 meter side yard on one side and a 0.9 meter side yard on the other side permits, I would say, a reasonable and for a lot of this size, generous access to be provided on one side of the house to get equipment into the rear yard or for whatever reason one might require access to get into the rear yard. So that's the reason for not splitting the difference. And then in terms of placing a more narrow side yard on one side than the other, that again is a pattern that has existed and is evident with new builds. And it's mirroring or in fact better than the side yard setback that would be found on number 54 Cannon. 54 Cannon's got an 0.08 centimeter side yard. So you'll see in a number of these photos where there are new houses that are placed next to older houses. It is pretty common for the newer house to be placed quite close to the older house that is adjacent. And presumably at some point in the future, that older house would be replaced or substantially rebuilt at some point. So that's the thinking behind it, but it allows for access to the rear yard on the subject property.
And I guess it's worth noting, I don't see anyone objecting from next door. I'm assuming that you've spoken to both of the immediate neighbors.
Sir, I at the time that I looked, I saw the one objection letter as well. I don't know. I have not spoken personally, but I don't know that my clients have spoken or not.
Okay, thank you.
I do know that that lot was sold to them, so it was a lot that they've recently purchased within the last. I'm certain it's less than 2 years. I haven't looked at the deed for a while, but it's.
Sorry, you're saying your clients purchased both lots?
It was, sir. It was, yes. I think that's the answer.
Okay.
The answer is just simply yes. And so that lot was sold to the owners of 54 as it exists without a severance again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions from panel members?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, we may have speakers. We have members.
Well, no, that's okay. But I still want members to ask questions if they want to ask questions at this point. No? Okay. That's fine. Okay, is there anyone in the room to speak to this issue, to this item? No?
Yeah, they may not want to speak. I think per our conversation before the hearing, they were going to attend. They wrote a
Okay,
letter.
that's okay. Just, if they're here, they have the option to say something if they wish. Okay. Thank you. I'll thank you then.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so just, we'll bring it in for discussion then. And so anyway, I think the members know my comment and my view on this. If anyone else wants to kick off some discussion, I'd be welcome to hear that. Okay. Up to you now. We're good. You can sit down. Thank you. We're in committee.
Okay, good. I'd like to move a motion to approve. I think it meets the 4 tests, subject to the conditions contained in the forestry and planning memos.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, the application is approved. Thank you. No one was opposed. I wasn't sure, but no. So that's Cannon. Helps if you turn on the microphone. Item 23, I believe, is our next. Where did I wind up? Yeah, item 23, 68 Grovedale Avenue. And this is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage, a front porch, and a rear yard deck. There were originally 7 variances. 1 has been removed. There are now 6 variances. This was an application that was originally deferred from October 12th, 2023, in order to allow for consultation with transportation and planning. Transportation has since come back saying that they are okay with the current proposal. The applicant for this item is Ida Evangelista. Ms. Evangelista, online?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. Ida Evangelista on behalf of the owners of 68 Grovedale Avenue. You're correct, sir. This application was before committee back in October 2023. However, I did defer it as transportation had some comments and concerns, as did planning. And what we did, we have revised, modified the application because also the neighboring properties also had some concerns with the balcony at the rear. So what we've done is we have met all of transportation's comments and concerns, as you see from the memorandum that you mentioned, and we have modified the application, and we have removed the variance, although it was technical, the 3-story variance. We removed the main wall height variance, and we removed the rear platform variance. The variances that we now have, we are asking for side yard setbacks. We have a length of 17.07. The house itself, as you can see from my submission, I have highlighted the actual length of the house. So the house itself is 16.46 meters in length. What takes us to that 17.07 is there is that small breakfast nook at the rear of 0.61, and that takes us to 17.01. Our side yard setbacks, if you take a look at the building footprint that I provided in my submission, you'll see that this is very consistent with within the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, the neighboring property at number 70, which is also a new house, they have setbacks of 1.14 and 1.46. And we also have, and we will maintain, actually we are increasing the variance on the west side to 1.53 from 1.49. Our stairs, we are asking for an additional 2.7 inches for our pedestrian entrance. We are asking for a 1.27 meter variance. But again, if you review the photos that I provided in my submission, you'll see that there are many homes, many of the newer homes and existing homes, and the existing home, as you have in front of you, the subject property. The pedestrian entrance is very consistent. A lot of the homes have anywhere between 3 and 5 steps to enter the home. So in this respect, I respectfully submit that this is a form of intensification that meets the 4 tests. It is in keeping with the purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw. And I am open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ida. Any questions from members? Seeing none, and seeing no other speakers, I guess we'll take this into committee then.
If no one has any questions, I'm prepared to make a motion. I'm satisfied that the applicant has worked with community planning to make the modifications necessary to come back before committee. And transportation is now okay, so I move for approval with no conditions.
Seconder?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you. Thank you, Ida. Our next item is item 24 on the agenda, which is 141 Kingsview Boulevard. This is an application to construct a one-story rear addition, and there are two variances being sought. This was deferred from November 23rd, 2023 due to a notice issue. Planning in November of 2023 requested refusal, and they are still requesting refusal. Speaker. Fazeen Atkar, who I believe is online. Adam? Mr. Atkar? Hello?
Good afternoon, honorable members of the committee.
Good afternoon, sir. Given that you have a negative planning report, I'm assuming you're going to want to do a full presentation to us.
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
My name is Fazan Akhtar. I'm here representing the owners of 141 Kingsview. We were requesting approval for two minor variances. One is item number one is for building length. The allowed is 17 meters, and we're proposing 21 meters, so about 4 meters more. And the item number two that we're requesting minor variance approval is for lot coverage. The allowed percentage is 33%, and we're proposing about 37%, which is about 4% more. It is quite a large lot, about 138 feet deep. And the current owners, they've been residing at the property for about 20 years. They live in an extended family where there's a mother, grandmother, and the son and his wife is about to move in. I mean, due to the cost of living in Toronto, obviously. The elderly grandmother, they live with them. She's paralyzed from neck down, along with the owner's brother and his wife. They take care of her, and that is the reason they're requesting a rear addition rather than a second floor addition due to accessibility reasons. And we had quite a bit of conversations with planning department in order to allow that. They don't want to proceed with a second floor. Planning was proposing a second floor addition rather than a rear addition, but due to accessibility reason, we are requesting approval for a rear addition. And it's not a massive rear addition. It is. I mean, it's enough to add 2 bedrooms to the house. Also, the cost of adding a second floor is much higher than a rear addition. I mean, the homeowners, they've gotten the quotes from a few contractors, and they've all been lower for the rear addition. And the homeowner informed me that they can't afford to move in or move out and buy another property, right, due to the cost of houses in Toronto nowadays. And I think they've spoken to the neighbors as well, and none of the neighbors have any issues. I mean, they're okay with the proposal. So I'll leave it up to the members of the committee to please consider the approval here.
Okay, thank you, sir. There's obviously no one here. I'm assuming there's no one online to speak to this as well.
That's correct.
Okay, so we don't have any letters of objection.
Chair, may I ask a
Please.
couple of confirming questions?
That was going to be my next thing. Is
Confirm?
any questions?
Thank you. Speaker, I was just wondering, you've had conversations with 139 and 143?
The homeowner of the property herself, the neighbors are her close friends. They've been living there for close to over 20 years actually, and they're okay with the rear addition itself. They actually preferred a rear addition rather than a second floor addition because it would block lights to their windows. So they actually preferred having a rear addition.
And which neighbor are you talking about now, 139 or 143?
I don't have that in front of me, but she did mention that she spoke to the neighbors.
Okay,
So most likely both of them.
all right.
Because they are actually very close friends since they've been living there for 20 years.
Okay, thank you.
It would have been helpful to have a letter. I mean, we can deduce that they're not in opposition, but it's
They
difficult
are
for
not
us
objecting.
when we realize they're not objecting, but it would have been helpful to us to receive something in writing, particularly when, in light of the negative planning report, to get something in writing from the neighbors if they are in fact in support.
Oh,
Any other
sorry about
questions?
that.
Mr. Dalton?
So page 2 of the planning letter states that planning staff discussed with the applicant development alternatives that would be more in keeping with the zoning bylaw. Other than the second floor, what other alternatives were looked at?
It was only the second floor addition, either over the entire dwelling or over the garage, right? And like I mentioned, right, the grandmother there, because she's paralyzed from neck down, her going up and down the staircase is entirely not possible. So any kind of addition on top can over either over the garage or over the entire dwelling wasn't possible. So the only possibility was the rear addition, and planning department was not in support of a rear addition.
So were options for a shorter addition looked at?
No, they did not they did not want to actually. I mean, they did not want to be in support of any kind of rear addition for whatever reason. I'm not sure. And the addition that we are proposing, it's not massive. It's just enough sufficient to have 2 more bedrooms in there, and I mean that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
So sorry, are there other questions or anyone else? One other question I'd like to ask is if you excluded the garage, if you just look at the house itself with your addition, I believe you're at about 18.3 meters overall length, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Which puts you over
Yeah,
1.3 meters over the building length variance, I believe.
yeah, yes.
Okay.
It's about 13.3. The entire length of the structure itself, the existing house is only 13.36 meters.
Yeah, it's
The
the
depth.
it's the garage that makes the whole thing
Yeah, the garage is sticking out when it was originally built.
considerably longer.
Yeah, it just sticks out. It's just the inherent feature of the house, the structure.
Okay, thank you. Is there no other questions, or does anyone else have any? No, then we'll take it into committee. Any discussion? I think, from my perspective, I think planning is concerned about precedent, but this isn't overly egregious if you look at the numbers in the perspective of how far back it's going beyond the 2 immediate houses. It's my only comment.
I have a comment as well. I note that I do not know why, but there are no conditions from planning as alternatives to refusal.
Because they just don't want it.
Right. So we don't have that option in terms of conditions, right?
No. We can reduce the amount of the variance is always an option as well. Or eliminate or not approve certain variances. Yeah.
We are only requesting about 4% more
Okay, sorry,
lot
we're,
coverage.
thanks. Sorry, we're just, yeah.
Because in looking at options, wouldn't an option be a 2 meter or a 3 meter or 2.5 meter versus the 4? It should have been, but we don't know.
We don't know. And then you would have fewer variances. Yeah.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion to refuse.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a seconder? Are you going to second or?
I'm, because of the situation that the applicant has described, I'm, thinking that I would actually make a motion to
You can't
approve.
you can't do another motion.
No,
until we
I know
deal with
that.
this
I
one.
know that. So I know that. But yes, I'll second that motion to refuse. Actually, I think that it could have, if they had actually cut back on the size of the bedrooms, I think I would have been more inclined to approve it.
So you're seconding the motion to refuse as it stands. Okay. All in favor of the motion to refuse? Opposed? Okay, the split decision, 3-2, the application is refused. Okay, item 25. Find item 25. So 38 Killfield Street. This is an application to construct a second-story addition above the existing warehouse. And there is a total of 1 variance. This was an application that was deferred also from November 23rd, 2023. Forestry is requesting condition 3. Planning is requesting that we tie to site plan in the event of approval, and transportation is confirming that they are okay with the application. Hasim Rostami, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. But
hi, everyone, Mr.
Good
Chair
afternoon.
and members of the committee. Good afternoon.
Do you want to give us a brief overview of what we're looking at?
Absolutely. My name is Hassam Rostami from Rostami Atash Inc., 92 Chisholm Avenue. This was an addition to only the front of the building, to the second story of the office in front of the warehouse, and maintaining the back of the warehouse in the back. The zoning bylaw for a certain size, they require a loading type B, which we were trying to accommodate it in the front of the building back in November 23rd. Planning and transportation gave us late comments at the time that they do not support, as a blanket policy, they do not support a front yard loading space, which was fair. So what we did is that we redesigned the application, and now the loading type B is in the back of the building in the warehouse, as the transportation has recommended. And because of that, we just have a service ramp that is closer to the backyard than allowed in the bylaw, and ramps are not allowed intrusion into the setbacks in these zones, unfortunately, and that's why we are here. I just wanted to note that I have sent a cover letter indicating that from the point that the setback is crossed, the 7.5 meters, if you look at the site plan, the height of the ramp is actually only 24 inches above the grade descending to the grade, which means that the impact of that ramp on the neighbors is very minimal.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is no one else to speak on this item. Is there any questions from any of the committee members? No? And so we'll take it into committee then, and if anyone's ready for a motion, I would welcome that.
I'd like to move a motion to approve. I think it's minor and meets the four tests, subject to the planning and forestry comments.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Seconder?
I will second that, subject to all conditions.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Popovic. All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you, Hasim. Our next item, number 26, 1252 Kipling Avenue.
And the last item of the day.
Last item of the day. This was also deferred from November 23rd, 2023, and I believe it was deferred because of a notice issue. This is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are a total of 7 variances being sought, 3 of which have been amended to or improved. And forestry is requesting conditions 2 and condition 3 in the event of approval. Transportation is letting us know that they are fine with the current proposal, and an arborist report was provided in the original materials. I have a note here that in the added materials, there is an increase in the requested variances. I'm not sure what that's about, so perhaps we can, I'm going to pull up my added materials in the meantime. Would like Joe Dome, the agent, to be present on the line. Mr. Dome?
Mr. Chair,
name is Joe Dome.
those were minutes from the previous
Oh, okay.
application that were missed.
Right. Got it. Okay, I retract my statement. Good afternoon, Joe.
Yes, hello again. My name is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner. And as was mentioned, the application was deferred at the original hearing date in late November due to the owner being late on posting signage. And at the last hearing, staff error on the public notice necessitated another deferral. So today, the owner would like to construct a detached 2-story dwelling with attached garage. It's considered new as opposed to an addition because less than 50% of the main walls are being retained. And we've had, as mentioned also, we've had in-depth discussions with planning department back in November, and in full accordance with the recommendations, the drawings were submitted November 13th to align the south side main wall with the setback of the existing garage, reducing lot coverage, FSI, increasing the south side yard setback, and additionally 1.8 meter privacy screening has been included on the south side of the rear second story balcony. And after these revisions, planning staff had no concerns. And to speak to the variances, the lot coverage and FSI variances 1 and 2 are mitigated by the fact that there is no overall height variance requested, and the proposed length is only 14.01 meters. Which is under the 17-meter bylaw. There's no rear yard setback requested, and the soft landscaping complies with the bylaw. There was a similar FSI approved to the west at 32 Vassar Drive in 2021. I believe that was 0.61. Also across the street, there are visually larger massing dwellings such as 83 Thorncrest Road. These are larger lots, but the visual massing from the streetscape is evident directly across the street. And I'd also highlight, excuse me, I'd also highlight that the proposed lot coverage includes the rear covered outdoor area and the existing rear shed. So the actual dwelling portion itself is under the 33% lot coverage bylaw. The south side yard setback of 1.26 meters follows the setback of the existing garage, as I mentioned. There's no neighboring residential dwelling on the south side as it abuts a school parking lot. Furthermore, the north side yard setback does comply with the bylaw. Variances 4 and 5 refer to a small increase over the as-of-right main wall height under the bylaw, which is 7.31 meters versus the 7.2 meter bylaw, and 7.55 meters for a very small portion above the front porch. Variance number 6 refers to the rear balcony area of 8.36 square meters, and this is mitigated by the fact that the balcony is situated closer to the north line and will include that 1.8 meter privacy screening. And variance number 7, finally, is the driveway width is an existing condition, will not be changing. Transportation provided their comments on file and have no concerns. And no neighbors as well have concerns. And overall, we feel the proposal as revised is reasonable and minor in nature. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dome. Any questions? No? Then we can take it into committee.
Chair, for to speak on this item.
Please.
We do have 7 variances before us today. I think the applicant did a wonderful job in terms of justifying each of them. And I'm not going to go through them. I feel exactly the same way as he does. I think it's a good justification individually and collectively. The variances that are being requested, I think, are appropriate. This proposed structure dwelling is on Kipling Avenue, a major arterial road. I think it fits in, meets the 4 test. Move approval with urban forestry conditions, I believe 2 and 3.
Yes.
I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Dome. And that concludes our last item. I guess I need a motion for adjournment.
My favorite motion?
By all means.
At 2:51 p.m., I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. We're adjourned. Thank you, staff.